Welcome to How to Share, a podcast where we share what we've lived and learned. I'm Wynne, and in this episode, co-host Vicki Atkinson and I are with author, physician, and veteran U.S. Navy Commander Wayne Runde. Wayne tells us about his book, Shadow of the Deceiver, the third installment in his Genesis Trust series. We hear about why he was called to start writing, even with his busy schedule and fascinating set of hobbies. We ask about the intersection of science, morality, and humanity that is a cornerstone for his writing and stories. Wayne tells us where he finds inspirations for his characters from his professional life and also his personal interactions within his church community. This is a great episode with an author that has so much informed perspective to share, along with a fantastic story. We know you'll love it. Hi, Wayne.
Hi.
Vicki and I are really excited to talk to you today. We wanted to say congratulations on the release of your book, Shadow of the Deceiver, which is the third book in your Genesis Trust series. Can you give us the elevator pitch for the book and for the series?
It's the last book of the trilogy, and it picks up in the year 2150, and basically starts off with a young married couple coming back to the husband's hometown, which is close to my hometown, as it turns out, and they get wrapped up into this shadowy figure called the Falcon, and one thing leads to another, and they have to try to unravel that, and I think kind of exciting journey they go on.
Right. True. Exciting journey. And the series overall, I mean, it's sort of, you started it out with the Genesis Trust. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And you bring back the city of Atlantis.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give too much away here, so I'll just sort of roll it out. But it's just an incredible premise of technology and how to apply it. I think is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this really cool intersection. I think that in a way where when I've never read anything like Wayne's work, where it is that intersection of kind of sci-fi and fantasy, but there's also like a moral undertone, a calling to lean into faith, which is so contemporary. And I think readership for the storyline, I think, folks will really enjoy the uplifting opportunity that reading it presents, because there is conflict and there are battles all around, but leaning into what people know best, is sort of encouragement throughout. And we see the struggle and we see the strife, but the parallels to kind of present day dilemmas that I think society is facing was not lost on this reader. It kept me reading because it felt very timely.
Right.
Yeah.
Well said, Vicki. Well said.
Yeah, no, but it was just it felt like it was written for right now. And I don't know how long ago you started writing, this last one, but when it felt like it was well timed for readers right now.
Yeah. That's very, very true.
Yeah.
So Wayne, you are a veteran U.S. Navy commander as well as a physician. What called you to add author to that list of credentials?
Well, grew up with science fiction, basically, and I just was always fascinated by that. And then over the years, started thinking it'd be nice to have one, basically the Foundation trilogy. If I could somebody could rewrite that with more of a Christian viewpoint, and without being preachy. Obviously, I don't want to do that, but I just thought, well, I guess I can do that. So I thought about it for probably about 10, 15 probably close to 20 years. And then finally I thought, well, it's time to just do it.
So good.
Isn't
So
it
good. And
funny how long things have to bake sometimes?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. But it's really interesting to learn where the inspiration sat, and it's not a small thing to be inspired by someone like Asimov, but then also sit back and go, but I think I could do it differently. It's a little humbling, I'm sure, right? And
Yeah.
it probably made you a little extra deliberate about what you were about to do.
Yeah.
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 Wow.
So
So
your
good.
hobbies are so interesting because, I mean, just thinking about this list, gardening, beekeeping, developing management software for a medical clinic, genealogy. What's the underlying thread that pulled you into all these hobbies as, as well as writing and all the other stuff that you do?
Sure what common thread to all of those, but I know when my son was younger, I said, "Do you see anything common about the woodworking and the gardening and the um, writing software?" And
Mhm.
of course, he says no. And I said, "Well, because it's creating something, it's making something."
Oh.
And I don't know if that's fits for all the things I do, but yeah, that's probably the common thread there.
Right, right.
Ah,
Oh, that's such a great observation about creation
yeah.
and
And also, I
exploring.
think a little bit about service. Thank
Hmm.
you for your service, but
Hmm.
you are a well-traveled man too. So, maybe having a world perspective, having served in Okinawa, right?
Hmm.
And I joked when I had heard that when Wayne described himself as having lived in the four corners of the United States, Seattle, Maine, the heartland, right? And
Right.
then like down in Florida. So do you think having traveled a lot contributes to your writer's heart?
What I see anyway is, yeah, I've met all kinds of people, different cultures within the United States, but even outside. I
Yeah.
think just trying to put all that together and trying to do justice to them rather than doing just, um, a caricature of them, just something that's more realistic,
Hmm.
Hmm.
but still fictional.
Right.
Hmm.
Right.
Hmm. Yeah, but it makes the characters, I think, rich and
Hmm. Hmm.
very readable. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say, and I'm building on Vicky's comment from before, but you excel at exploring that intersection of science and morality and humanity. And it really does seem so relevant to our world today. Um, and I'm going to just quote a small passage from early on in the book. Her father's voice echoed in the memory. Atlantis is more than a place, it's a purpose. The Genesis Trust was built to safeguard knowledge, science, and the Bible. One without the other leaves people blind.
Mm.
So, how do you think that writing and reading fiction and those stories help us puzzle out the issues?
We read for entertainment first and meaning second. And so I think by putting together the science fiction and the morality, the meaning, brings people in who just read for enjoyment. And then while they're reading it, they can also pick up on these other things.
Hmm.
That kind of answer your question, or
Right, right.
Hmm.
I mean, I think what's interesting about that is that storytelling nature, right? We understand things by story.
Yeah.
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 You do a really nice job, Wayne. I always like an invitational kind of chapter opening, and you do a beautiful job of bringing scripture forward to open every chapter. As Wynne is saying, it's kind of a subtle touch, but there's one that I really appreciate right before chapter 15. And it's the Martin Luther King quote, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice."
Hmm.
So I'm sure that that was probably painstaking for you to do, but boy, it sets a tone beautifully, I think, for the reader. So well done.
those chapters with scripture or with quotes
Hmm.
that seemed like they would fit with the chapter.
Yeah.
So I wrote the
Hmm.
chapter first and then got the quotes later.
That's
Mm.
good. It's
Mm.
a great part of the process.
Yeah.
Um, you know, of course, you said that you found your inspiration for your characters in the four corners, both and in your life, the individuals you encounter both in your professional capacity and within your church community. Can you say a little bit more about how the real world feeds your fabulous writing style and capabilities?
Just well, for one thing, you mentioned about how it seems to be relevant to today, and in part, of course, I'm living today and trying to pay attention to what's going on in the world,
Hmm.
and so I draw upon that, and then to some extent also just the interactions I see among people. Of course, as a doctor,
Hmm.
but also as having traveled and all that. Yeah, I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of different people and their perspectives, and I just try to bring that all into to the books the best I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we love your storytelling heart, and I'm going to quote another a little bit from your book. Um, it's best if I start from the beginning, Harrison said. Your grandmother, my mom, told me stories. Old men love telling stories, Chris thought. Maybe it's because they have so many memories to share and can't always remember who they've already told.
Mm.
Do you have a particular inspiration behind, either Harrison or Chris?
Well, yeah, I tell my patients that I start talking. I said, old men like telling stories. And so that part of that's based on me. But yeah, at least I've seen that a lot of times where old people, not just old men, but old people like to tell stories. And I had a doctor that was older that worked for me a
Mm.
few years ago, and he told me the same story two or three times. I'm like, yeah, I've already heard that. But kind of all that kind of feeds together into this character.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
it's true. And
Hmm.
and especially when you can't remember what you've told. And it's funny when you start to to build in those little phrases like I better start at the beginning, because you can't or maybe I don't know if I've mentioned, all those things that you start to build in. Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, you could I think identify, right? And
Hmm.
I found that to be true when with the relationship between the young married couple, Chris and
Hmm.
Brianna. They felt like, real people and some of the bantering, between the two of them about decision making and, the high stakes,
Hmm.
don't want to give away too much, but I mean there was a
Hmm.
lot that they were in pursuit of and really kind of heroes in the story,
Hmm.
stepping into some really important roles.
Right.
Yeah. And I
Right.
have to call out, there's one sentence, a lot of sentences that I really love, but kind of like when some things just jump out. There's an opening sentence for chapter 13 where Wayne, you wrote, the air seemed heavier than usual, charged with an unspoken tension that seeped into every conversation and every movement. I mean, all of that kind of artistry and then weaving tension into that's really a skill. But that was, ooh, chef's kiss. Good one. Hmm.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. What is it like to get that feedback from readers? Is that propulsion for you to get back to writing again? Or is it just sort of like, oh, shucks?
I am more of a shy person, believe it or not. And so when I hear that, it is kind of an oh shucks in a sense, but yeah, it's also an inspiration. Saying, well, okay, well, if they like that, let's see what else I can do.
Right.
Yay.
Speaking of what else can you do, what's next on your creative radar?
Well, I've already started on another series, and again, it's similar but different, and maybe at some point try to weave that together to kind of bridge with the Genesis Trust series
Mm.
somehow. Haven't figured out how I'm going to do that yet,
Hmm.
but it's either going to be a trilogy or if I can make it work, I thought a trilogy of trilogies would be kind of cool. But
Hmm.
nine books is a lot of books, so I
Right.
probably won't do
Ooh.
that.
Ooh, that's
It sounds
epic.
creative, you know?
Right, right. Three at a time. Just do it three at a time. That makes it smaller.
Wow. That's amazing. That's
That's good.
amazing. Yeah.
Wow. I love, I think I read some statistic that, maybe like 98% people think that they're going to write a book, but only 2% actually do and get it published. But I'm not sure how many people actually think about writing trilogies and then actually get it published. So hats off to you, Wayne.
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, go big, right?
Right?
Yeah, go big. Oh my
Amazing.
goodness. I
Amazing.
also have to say that I loved, there's again, without giving away too much, there's a really nice nuance about, oh gosh, how do I want to say this? About how people can be influenced and controlled by music and the company they keep and how insidious that is.
Mhm.
And there's some things that you've done that are, I think, downright poetic, in how you thread that through with, the main kind of like e evil influence in
Mhm.
the book. But I think yeah, for people that have an admiration for poetry
Mhm.
and music and how that lyricism, I think, can be really kind of seductive and nicely done.
So I think music's probably the one thing that
Mhm.
would intersect with all of that. So that's why I chose that as a strong point on the bad guys.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, but it's so, I mean, it really fits with the title of the book because it is so deceptive. You don't
Mhm.
realize as you're drinking it in and taking it all in that it is on, a deep kind of emotional subconscious level. There, it's a control means. Yeah.
Right.
But I thought
Right.
that was really something unique,
Mhm.
that I haven't read before, so I appreciated that too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all so well done. All so
Yeah.
well done. Well, we appreciate you so much coming on and talking about it, and it's just lovely to both read you and be able to talk to you.
Thanks.
Thanks for your time.
Thank
All right.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening. Our music was written for us by the incredible duo of Jack Canfora and Rob Koenig. For show notes and more great inspiration, see avitiva.com, avitiva.com.